Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another game of the URC. This one, the Lions at home, taking on Leinster, who have sent an interesting lineup to South Africa, and that is the case for next week's game as well. But at this stage of the competition, it is all or nothing for these sides. Leinster sitting at the top of the bunch, just the 1 point clear of Glasgow, who got themselves a win over the Sharks in yesterday's URC fixture. We are going to see the Bulls in action just a little bit later on. They are going head-to-head with Munster, and that will help determine who is in third at the end of this round. And the Stormers, they have got their game up against the Ospreys, so a battle inside of the top 8 for the Lions. If they can get themselves a win here, that would actually boost them right up to, theoretically, they can go as high as, believe it or not, 5th. If they are able to get themselves the win over Leinster and a comfortable win here, if not a comfortable win, but still a victory, they will move within the top 8, just ahead of Benetton. But looking through at the starting lineup, first of all, for the Lions, strong front row with a lot of experience there on PJ Botha, and then Ruandrea is going to be there at number 3, Nore as the number 1, Alberts and Delport as the locking duo, then JC Pretorius, of course, from the Blitzbox 7 circuit. He has been a sensational talent for them. He hasn't quite found his stride at the Lions, but I feel like he's only a few big games away from really starting to cement that 6 jersey. Emmanuel Tuchuka there at number 7, and then Frank Horn slotting in as the number 8, Morne van den Berg with Nohamba as the 10, Marius Lowe in the midfield, alongside Cronje, then Edwin van der Merwe, Richard Creel, and also Juan Horn at number 15. Now, this is one of those games that is extremely hard to predict. Lions coming as slight favourites, Leinster sitting at the top of the table, but they have not sent a side that a lot of people would anticipate when you hear the name Leinster. They have got Cian Healy, who of course has been in the first side quite a bit throughout the seasons. They have gone with Lee Baron at 2, and then at number 3 they have got Thomas Clarkson, Deeney and Jason Jenkins as the locking duo. Of course, Jenkins actually going to be heading to the Sharks for next season of the URC. Mangan at number 6, Scott Penny 7, and Max Deegan at number 8. So no Josh Van den Flair, no Caelan Doris, no Jack Conan. 3 men missing from that loose forward trio. Luke McGrath at number 9 with Harry Byrne at 10. Charlie Ngatai in the midfield alongside Turner. And then Osborne, Rob Russell, and Kieran Frawley keeps his spot at 15 for the fullback role. But a very intriguing Leinster lineup, because we do know that the Leinster Academy, the younger players coming up through the rankings, are just as capable in some cases as the men in that starting lineup. But now it's going to be the opportunity to prove it. They've been sent to South Africa. You could say, I didn't even mean to do it, but I'm going to say it. They've been sent to the Lions' den. No pun intended, but then as I said it, I realised there was a bit of a pun there, but they've been sent in to see whether or not they can handle the pressure of playing in South Africa. And of course, who knows? Maybe a couple of these young Leinster players do find themselves in that Irish squad heading into South Africa for the July internationals. In the chat, we have got quite a few people. Hope you are all doing well. We have got Saders Lost to the Force. Says Pants Blazers, is this the playoffs? It is not. It is still part of the regular season. Western Force says Albin and Saders are back to the bottom. And Ozzy Lowell says Mr. All-In and Leinster going to be tired. Tough last couple of weeks. Real chance for the Lions, says Jimbo. Although completely different Leinster lineup than we have seen in most of those other games that they've had. Like, there's no James Lowe, no Robbie Henshaw, no Jameson Gisborne Park. The list goes on. Like I mentioned, their loose forward trio looking completely different to what it normally would. So in some regards, these guys should be fresh as a daisy. Some of these guys haven't played in 5 to 6 weeks, if not maybe longer. Don't recognise more than 5 names in that Leinster team. Says Albert and good morning, Hamish. 3 big rugby games we got in store. Lions and the Leinster, Bulls versus Munster, and then later tonight, Stormers versus Ospreys. And we are covering all 3 of them on the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We have got Up the Lander, says Levi. And Lions Den at 1,700 metres above sea level, says Albert. So yeah, it's going to be a real test for them. I feel like it's going to be a good test for the Lions as well, though, because it's always intriguing to see how a strong lineup versus a not-so-strong lineup does match up stylistically. We've seen it in the Northampton Saints game when the Bulls took them on. That young Bulls side showed quite a bit of heart, but in the end just wasn't enough to beat the Saints. We saw it when the Sharks went head-to-head with Glasgow. Bit of a Sharks mixed team in Scotland. They couldn't quite get the job done is Leinster's mixed team going to be able to get the job done up against a little bit of a dark horse in some regards of the South African sides? It is often talked about the Stormers, the Bulls, and the Sharks, whereas the Lions are ahead of the Sharks, and they have actually put together a lot more better performances than the Sharks throughout the season. This is a typical Leinster URC team for this time of the year. Says Jimbo, yep, it's the type of lineup that you put out there when you know you've got first place pretty much secured, and you also don't want to risk those extra injuries before heading into the Champions Cup semi-final that they have got in only 2 weeks' time. Lions got this, no doubt, says Albert and the chat as well. And they do come in as slight favourites, only slight though, surprisingly, with the lineup that they have gone with. The last game was in the European Challenge Cup. They did lose to Benetton, 27 points to 17. Of course, they were away from home for that game. Looking at Leinster, big win over Leicester Tigers, big win over La Rochelle, but like I mentioned, a very different lineup taking part in this contest, and also notable for those 2 games, both played at home. This one in South Africa away. It's a beautiful afternoon by the looks of it. The sun is out. The fans aren't really in attendance unless they're on the near side in the shade perhaps, rather than looking into the sun. That would make a lot more sense at Emirates Airline Park. The next week for these 2 sides, the Lions, they are going to be going head-to-head with Munster, and then the Stormers, they have got Leinster. So all the Irish sides, with the exception of, I believe, Connacht and Ulster, 2 of the Irish sides find themselves in South Africa in this current moment. What's your thoughts on the Crusaders this year, Hamish? Says Stuart Moore. I mean, they certainly haven't performed. I think Tom Christie said it best in the post-match interview after that Western Force game. He said that they're doing a lot of things wrong at the moment, but when they're getting it right, he would still back his side to be able to win a lot of games from here on out. So he said if they can get it right for the last few weeks, make it into those quarterfinals, he still feels that they've got the ability to get that Super Rugby title. And to be honest, when you look at the Crusaders' history and you look at what they're like in playoff rugby, I know it's a completely different lineup now, but it makes it hard not to believe them that they'd have just that little bit of a crack if they make it through to an important playoff game. Joe Berg at 21 degrees, nice weather, says Albert. And man, that Western Force team I must have tackled their hearts out, says John. And that was one of their goals. They said that they had to make as many tackles as they could. They made a lot of mistakes up against the Blues. Of course, they're heading back to New Zealand now next week, play another Kiwi side. I wouldn't have a clue what's going on with this side. But let's go. Who's winning? Hamish says Mr. All-In. I think it's going to be a close game. Like, the fact that the odds are close makes me think that the Lions have a massive advantage here, but we just don't know what to expect from this Leinster side. Luke McGrath, capable player. Harry Byrne at 10, handy enough. Ngatai with Rob Russell, Frawley. Like, there's still names for Leinster that would probably make it into the starting lineup of a majority of the other URC sides in the competition. It's just the fact that they've got a few new names in there, such as Brian Deeney, that a lot of people wouldn't have heard of heading into this contest. But it looks like a few Leinster supporters have made the trip to South Africa to watch this game. Once again, looking through at these starting lineups. And I mean, the Lions, in their own right, are probably the least well-known South African side in terms of their squad. Notable players, of course, in that back line with Marius Lowe there. He will be rearing to go. Nohamba, Morne Vandenberg, been linking up quite nicely throughout the rest of the Super Rugby, the URC season. And then also, I think that loose forward trio of Pretorius, Tachuka, and Horn could find themselves with a bit of success throughout this contest. For Leinster, they have still got some handy players in there, whether that's Cian Healy, Scott Penny, McGrath, Byrne, like I mentioned, Ngatai and Turner in the midfield. And then Kieran Frawley, I feel like he's going to have to hold it all together at the back. Of course, this game is being played at a little bit more altitude than the Irish are used to, so the kicking of Frawley has to be on point. And if he can get that right, perhaps Leinster can keep it close. But I'll be honest, I have no idea who's going to win this game. Like, this is one of those contests that we're either going to see the Lions come out firing, or we're going to see Leinster and people are going to be like, oh, okay, that's a surprising performance. They've done well away from home with a little bit of a mixed side. They are making their way out of the tunnel now, wearing the white kit for this contest. There's a Pretorius and Bota in the team. Says, it was there from Hanoi, and good morning from a rainy Bogota in Colombia, says Neil, and sheesh, tough game, and force a good win, says Hanoi in there as well. And squeaky win for Ulster last night. Yeah, very close game. Lions to pull away last 20, says Jimbo. Or, okay, so you're saying the altitude might start to hit Leinster a little bit. And that's the other side of things. When we look through at this Leinster lineup and the lack of minutes that a lot of these players have had, fitness has to come into it. Like, they always talk about being fit, and then they talk about being match fit. And there is a big difference. And I know that it sounds weird to say because you'd think it's the same thing, but being out there in the game, the adrenaline's pumping, little things can drain your gas tank. And I feel like maybe Leinster will go a little bit too hard too early here. And if they can get points on the board, it will help them. But if they can't, the Lions, I believe later on, will be able to capitalise quite well. And for all your 10, usually I think Sears Annoy, although they've got a capable 10 and Harry Byrne slotting in at fly half. What's your score prediction? I think it's going to be a close game. Of course, Lions have the advantage of playing at home, but I think Leinster are going to be too strong. I think Leinster by 5. Sears Manus there. See, I'm in agreement it's going to be split by less than 7 points, I believe. Don't have a club leader. Keep it together if it gets wobbly. Says Jimbo. Yeah, although there's a couple decent, experienced players in their side, whether it's someone like a Kean Healy or maybe, he might not be well known as a leader, but someone like a Jason Jenkins, just to try and settle his side down. Luke McGrath as well. They've still got some experience in their side. I believe off the bench, they've got Reece Ruddock, who I think will be actually quite key for them, just as these two sides making their way onto the field. Ladies and gentlemen, the benches for this game. They've also got their Foley, Prendergast, and also Brownlee off the bench for Leinster. Then for the Lions, they've got Sangweni. They've got Jordan Hendrickse, who I think might have a bit of a late impact in this game. Henko van Veek, also to add a little bit more oomph to this back line. It's going to be a good 80 minutes of rugby. And Isle and Hamish and Healy won't be on after 50, says Jimbo. But that's when, like I mentioned, you end up with Ruddock or someone like that coming off the bench who will then take over from that type of role. See any of these two beating the Blues? It's very hard to say, of course. Different competition. We don't get to see it happen too often. We saw Munster play the Crusaders and Munster won, but that was a Crusader side that now we have seen sitting worse than they ever have in Super Rugby. So it's very hard to judge competition to competition. But in about 2028, when they bring that Club World Cup around, I guess we'll get to start to work out how these sides match up. But we are very close to the kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. We are now underway. The Lions kicking off high into the sun as well. And it's knocked on straight away by Jason Jenkins, who I feel like saw absolutely none of that ball. Needed the sunglasses on to have a chance of catching that one. But Frankie Horn now moving it up to 40 metres out. Vandenberg gets it back across to Dreyer. There's some big boys in this Lions forward back to try and wear down this Leinster pack throughout the first half. Vandenberg goes back to Nahamba. Nice skip pass into the shadows. One more pass on the outside. JC Pretorius. Ball on the inside. Morne Vandenberg. 39 seconds is all it took for the Lions to strike first. Tell you what, that sun and shade does not look like it's going to be fun for Leinster. First mistake was made when they were looking into the sun trying to take the kickoff. Second mistake was made when Richard Creel ran just into the shaded area. And Morne Vandenberg reached the rewards. What was the Blues vs Brumbies score? I didn't watch the game. I'd like to know what the score was. It was 46 points to 7 in favour of the Blues for that game. Morning, Kiwi lads. Up just in time. No, Lordy says a Jimbo. But great ball from JC Pretorius. Now, if that was sevens, he probably would have looked towards his corner and looked to try and finish the job. But instead, with the unselfish play from JC, puts it on the inside to Morne Vandenberg. And the Lions start brilliantly. And who would have predicted a start like that? But the score now is going to be sitting 7 points to 0. They scored that quickly. The scoreboard hardly even realised the game started at the time that they crossed the try line. And I'm like, oh, what a start for the Lions. And yes, try time. Blues 1 million, Brumbies 3.5, says Gareth. It felt like that, didn't it? Type of game, 1:30 AM for you, Hamish, says Robert. And yep, we've got 2 more games that are taking place back-to-back after this. Next one being the Bulls versus Munster. The stadium is empty, or is everyone hiding in the shade? I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's a lot of people in the shade. Here comes Emmanuel Tichuka. Like I mentioned, the scoreboard is still a little bit behind. Didn't realise how quickly the Lions were going to be able to score. And it still doesn't look like it's updated just yet. So hopefully it does soon. We will go like this. And like that. The ball has been put into touch by Nohamba. Down towards the halfway line. They should put this comp on Sky. Says Mr. All-In. It's actually free to wear in New Zealand, Mr. All-In. It's on TVNZ Plus. So if you've got a TVNZ Plus account or you've got an email address, that's all you need to be able to sign up for TVNZ Plus. Completely free, and you'll get to access all the South African teams in the URC playing. There's going to be the turnover there for the Lions. Leinster hit the ball up, but then just not releasing. And Richard Creel had a great start to this match, getting that line break. Scoreboard does not want to give the Lions that early try. We're up to 4 minutes on the clock, and it still hasn't quite updated as of yet. But 3 minutes in, 7-0 for the Lions. And like I mentioned, just an absolutely fantastic start to the match for them. Exactly what they needed early on. And they have got themselves that penalty as well, so they will kick it towards the touchline. Scoreboard's still not updating. It's going to try and annoy me, I think, tonight. Seeing as we've got 3 games back to back to back. But the next game, like I mentioned, it is Bulls versus Munster. We will also be covering that. Oh, we have got that. Damn, don't have that stuff, just normal TV. Says Mr. Orland. I think they have a TVNZ app on your TV, unless, of course, it's on your Skybox that you have got. What's that address again? Says Andre. So for, I assume that's for TVNZ Plus. It is in New Zealand, though, that you have to be able to access it. Scoreboard guy still at the bar. And Scoreboard lacking, says Marnus, and bring New Zealand into the URC, says another person. I don't think so. I feel like it's good at the moment the way that it is, and I feel like trying to add more sides may change that kind of dynamic, because at the end of the day, it's like the regional side of things for the URC as well. 4 teams from each region playing off. Currently 4 minutes in. And yeah, the automatic scoreboard does not want to give the Lions that first try. It was a brilliant one for Morne van den Berg, of course. Early try going in favour of the Lions. A 30 kg advantage for Leinster in terms of the pack weights, but the feed now going to be here for the Lions. Right on the verge of that sun shining down. As we get further into the evening, of course, there will be a lack of that sun for the later games. The scoreboard doesn't want to work. Doesn't want to give the Lions the try. I feel like maybe happened that quick. Scoreboard doesn't think it actually happened. Sorry, Amish, I don't have that stuff. But the misses, I just watch podcast 22/7. What do you do for the other 2 hours, Mr. Orland? Now 5 minutes in. Morne van den Berg feeding the ball in for the Lions. A little bit shaky there. Both front rows have gone down. And the referee says we'll have to see that one again. It's a dream start for the home side here. Being able to get the points on the board early. Try to sleep for the 2 other hours. Do you listen to podcasts while you sleep, Mr. Orland? Could be an idea. Although I feel like I've never been able to listen to music while sleeping. Or like trying to sleep. Or anything to do with someone talking. Because then I just end up listening to them and don't fall asleep. I don't know whether or not you guys have that same problem or not. But for me, it certainly doesn't work. 20 metres out from the line here. Morne van den Berg going to be feeding the scrum. And we're going to try it for a 3rd time. This is now the 3rd scrum reset. Can they get this one out of the back door? And that is going to be the penalty advantage now in favour of the Lion. Can you use a VPN to watch TVNZ outside New Zealand? I think so. I know that on Sky you can't with a VPN. But I think maybe you can get away with it, Albert. If you do have a VPN, feel free to try it, because you don't need any credit card information. They just need an email address. I don't even think they ask for your location. They may ask for like first name, last name, but I don't think they ask for what country you're in, because they just assume you're in New Zealand. So you might be able to get away with it. And they don't just have the URC on it. They also have like a whole heap of shows. Like, I'm not sure of the exact ones that are on. It looks like they're actually going to take on the 3 points here, the Lions. I wonder if because they take the 3, the scoreboard might realise that they've also scored a converted try. But he has got 1 from 1 so far. Sanelli Nohamba. To be honest, I can listen to 2 and understand both. Says Mr. Orland. I went through a patch how I'd listen to like the sound of cars going past on my phone. That kick has gone over, so that will now make the score 10 points to 0. But it's not doing it. It's just sitting there on 0. The worst thing is the clock's updating. So that's how I know it is kind of doing it, but it's just not doing the actual score. I might have to have a thing down the bottom saying the real score in this contest just for a little bit. 1 moment, we'll get a banner going. We'll go actual score. Oh, that's not 210-0. 10-0. There we go. We'll put that down the bottom just while we're waiting for the scoreboard to kick in. Sports Only Pod. I love music. Put me asleep, even rock music. That's impressive. I feel like I definitely wouldn't be able to sleep to rock music. I feel like I'd end up banging my head. Now, kick downfield from the Lions, again managing to find touch. Okay, maybe bring a New Zealand and Aussie team that isn't in the other tournaments, like provincial team. It's a tricky one, though, because, of course, a lot of the provincial sides in New Zealand are made up of Super Rugby players. So if it's on at the same time, like, I would like to see some sort of competition involving, like, maybe New Zealand A sides and Curry Cup teams or something like that, because I know that they have, like, the reserve side for the Hurricanes or the reserve side for the Chiefs or anything like that. Maybe put them up against the South African Curry Cup teams or the South African developmental sides. Could be quite a cool little tournament they could do every once in a while. Leinster currently in possession. Looking for that next pass. It was Liam Turner. Now McGrath goes back across to Cian Healy. One of the more experienced heads out there on the field for Leinster. Harry Byrne trying to chip in behind. Looks like Rob Russell chasing after it, but can't catch up with it. Ball goes into touch. And Amone Vandenberg does not decide to take it quickly. Already 9 minutes through, and Lions have had a key start to this matchup, being able to get themselves the quick-fire try of Morne Vandenberg, as well as the penalty, and also the conversion from Nohamba. Now, line-out throw for PJ Bota. And Lions are strong in every ruck. You can see Leinster very tight later on, says Jimbo. And yeah, that's the kind of... Oh, that was almost well done by Leinster. Still in the hands of the Lions. Nohamba goes across there to Emmanuel Tuchuka. Tries to drive his legs. And the tricky part for Leinster is they have to try and match that physicality of the Lions. But the Lions are much more, I guess, acquainted with playing at this tempo in South African conditions. Now Frawley does the little chip in behind. Looking to line this ball up. Isn't able to take it cleanly, so it bounces back up now to his opposite number, Horn. Let's collect it. At 15 for the Lions, Morne Vandenberg, rush defence there, doesn't work out for Brian Deeney. Now Vandenberg again goes back across to Nohamba, back into the pocket to Marius Lowe, gets the ball, open space now again for JC Pretorius, passes on the inside, and Morne Vandenberg offloads to Marius Lowe, who thought about giving it back to JC Pretorius just to say thank you for his selfishness, or his non-selfishness, I said selflessness is the word I was after. But that's almost 2 try assists now for JC Pretorius. He has been the player who's got the line break. Morne Vandenberg did the last pass, but JC Pretorius showing his pace. Again, the Lions are having a field day at the moment at the Emirates Airline Park. And Morne Vandenberg juggling that ball, almost ended up dropping it. And beautiful flick on the inside to Marius Lowe. This has been one of the best starts to a match we have seen for the Lions, and we've got to mention about it. Of course, Leinster do sit top of the table at the moment, but points differential plus 195. I feel like Glasgow will be watching this game. Feel like the Bulls will be watching this game, and they'll be going, keep scoring, Lions. Keep on bumping that up that little bit further. Because if they can, then they're in a very good position of being back around the rest of the sides. And then you start ending up in that scenario of can you have a away final rather than a home one. Nohamba to line up this kick. We will update the scoreboard again. Just while the scoreboard is not working, ladies and gentlemen. And Nohamba has missed that one, making the score now 15 points to 0 in favour of the Lions. What we'll quickly do as well is we'll actually add the names of the sides on just so that you guys aren't confused with the fact that it is blue. There we go. That is the actual score at the moment. 15-0 in favour of the Lions. Scoreboard does not want to give them the points. It is updating the correct time, though. We are currently 12 minutes through, and damn, that's the same Lions Spencer coached. Played, says Mr. Orlin. Tell you what, they're a well-oiled machine at the moment, this Lions. Morne Vandenberg dragged down 15 metres out to the line. Leinster just haven't really been able to have a sniff of the ball at this stage. Lions so fast getting around the outside. You can see that try 40 metres out, says Jimbo. And the Lions can beat anyone and lose to anyone, says another person. It's a skill, isn't it? And I feel like it's a skill that some sides are better at than others in terms of winning a miracle game and then also defeating a side or losing to a side that everyone said they should have won comfortably. Like this game, the Lions did come in as favourites. They're proven exactly why here, and perhaps some people we're giving Leinster a little bit too much credit, but then saying that we haven't seen them really on attack as of yet. Oh, scoreboard slowly. Oh, scoreboard is there, ladies and gentlemen. It took 14 minutes, but it kicked in the end. The Lions leading at the moment, 15 points to 0. Leinster not thrown in straight. Says Burning Lash. I feel like being 15-0 down after 13 minutes, you'd let them away with something, wouldn't you? Just to give them half a shot of touching the ball. Another big run, from Lee Baron. On across now, Leinster loop it around. Nohamba steals it. Interception, pass on the outside. This has the potential of being another try, and it is. Quan Horn scores it for the Lions. This is an insane start to a contest. Can't you show us the screen? Sadly, not any match footage or audio. If we show it on YouTube, we get taken down for 3 months, and we also probably get sued by World Rugby, or probably the URC in this case. So sadly, we are unable to show match footage or audio, but I have to say, this is certainly going to be a full highlights package when they do show Lions on fire. Says Spider making says Jimbo, no, Lions need a big win, says Burning Lash. Well, it actually worked out in their favour with it not being straight, or not being called as not straight. Leinster defence awful, says Burning Lash. Although I think we also need to give some credit to this Lions attack. Every time that they've been able to break their way through, they've had about 2 or 3 other support runners that just keep on being ready for that next pass. Now Humber, though, breaking the line off the loose pass, which is always going to be hard to shut down. And to be fair, the one Leinster player tried his best. That is an accurate noise. I thought so. But Nohamba now lining up this kick. We are 15 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen. And the Lions, they have 20 points with a kick to come. Like, don't get me wrong. Lions supporters, I know you would have been backing your side, but I don't think many people were backing them to start in this fashion. You know, like 22 points. This is one of the biggest scores we have seen throughout the first 15 minutes of any game of the URC, let alone one up against the top of the table side and Leinster. And yes, they've got those changes, but they've still got a capable team out there on the field, and the Lions are mincing them up, which is a terminology we have never used on a live stream before. Mincing them up, I don't think I'll say that again. At this rate, we are looking at the worst ever defeat for Leinster. Says Jimbo. Oh, Jimbo, you're a Leinster man through and through. Do you know what that defeat was? Out of curiosity. Do let me know if you know it. Now Harry Byrne going to the short side for Leinster. Tackle made there on Max Deegan, but at the moment it's just passing the ball around for the Lions, and everyone gets a try. They had 3 tries already. They're 1 away from getting the bonus point within the first 20 minutes of this contest. Now going to the short side. That ball's going to be knocked down by Morne Vandenberg, and I believe it's going back as a penalty for a deliberate knockdown rather than a knock on there. This will now be the chance for Leinster to kick this one towards the corner. There is no option but to go for 7 points here. Going for the 3 would not make any sort of sense. Morne Vandenberg just rushing up, and unfortunately for him with that inside ball, just got his hand in the wrong place. Does tap it down for the penalty of deliberate knock-on. Bear in mind, Leinster made 13 changes to the team, says Burning Lash. That's not straight there from Leinster. I mean, they may have made 13 changes, but they also, they are still a capable team. You know, you look through Cian Healy, Irish international, Jason Jenkins, more than capable, Luke McGrath, Harry Byrne, Charlie Ngatai, Rob Russell, Kieran Frawley. It's a lot of changes, but that doesn't really equate to the amount of easy line breaks we have seen from the Lions. I think Leinster probably missed more tackles than they've made throughout this first 17 minutes. And the ball's 62-7. It's the biggest loss ever for Leinster. Well, we have to wait and see how this one goes. If they continue scoring at the rate that they are, the Lions can almost, not even joking, they can bring up about 90 points if they continue scoring at the speed that they are now. Lions just playing with the lens. There's Spider Mick. It's going to be the scrum going up, of course. A scrum reset will take a lot of time. Yes, capable individuals, but rugby is a team sport. Defence is about team cohesion. Says Burning Lash. Yeah, but these boys are playing like they've never played together before, which just isn't the case. We've seen these guys end up in the same lineup. And Leinster have gone with weaker sides before when those Irish internationals have been missing, where most of these players have been given opportunity and Leinster have got victories in those games. Like, yes, there is a reason that they are going a little bit worse, but like this is a crazy start to the contest. But huge credit to the Lions, of course, as well, with the way that they've just been able to take it to them. And goodness, I just started listening. The Lions surely have had a great start. Says the farm. Yeah, brilliant start for the Lions. About as good as it could have been. Now, that one is going to be the penalty going the way of the Lions. And if Leinster, I missed the first 16 minutes. Looks like we need to pull our fingers out, says Anthony Walsh. Leinster's bomb shot, says Outlaw. And Leinster min-maxing like everyone else in these comps. So the Bulls weren't wrong to field a C team, says Zender. Although, to be fair, the Bulls, like, it's got to pay off in their game up against Munster. And if they can get the win there, I think that, you know, like, losing in that Champions Cup quarterfinal, I think will still sting for a little bit, because definitely if they can't win the URC, like, that would be one of those games that you look back at and go, if we had sent our best team, could we have got that one right? Are you 8? Or you 8? 8 right. The Lions 8. You 8 right. What's 8? Is that ain't right? The Lions ain't playing better rugby. Never mind. I've worked it out now. Are playing better rugby than they have in ages. Looks like Leinster underestimated them. Says Burning Lash. Yeah, when a team fires out 3 tries within the first 14 or so minutes of a game, you certainly get a bit of a wake-up call, don't you? And now Leinster have to try and find a way of getting back into this contest without being overly aggressive, because if they go too aggressive, that is when we see interceptions coming for the Lions, just like their last try. Now they are going on the outside now. Cronje gets it away to Edwil van der Merwe. Fun fact, that's the first time he has touched the ball throughout this game. Is this Leinster C team? I wouldn't say a C team. I'd say, like, you know, it's a developmental side. Overall, that's another deliberate knockdown, this time coming from Leinster rather than coming from the Lions. It's what Leinster deserves for playing their second XV against the Lions and underestimating them, says Marnus. Although I also don't really think this is Leinster underestimating the Lions at a certain extent as well. I think that it is about trying to keep players fresh for the Champions Cup semi-final that they have got just around the corner up against the Saints, as well as having them a little bit more fresh when it gets to the playoff stage of the URC, which is only around a month away. But I believe that Champions Cup semi-final is what is on Leinster's mind a little bit more at the moment, seeing as the last 3 times that they've been through in the playoff games, they've been knocked out by La Rochelle. Now that they've finally beaten La Rochelle, they want to go all the way and win that competition, and the best way to do so is to be able to field their strongest lineup. Yep, I go with that, Amish. Says Blues, Nate. Now, line out throw for PJ Bota. That's the A team, just not good enough. Says Spider Mick. Okay, looks like PJ Bota just getting angry at the touch judge for not hearing him say they were doing a 5-man line out. I don't think there's too much to be angry about with 22 minutes in. That one's going to be stolen by Leinster now, though. Still inside of their 22. JC Pretorius looking for that turnover. Of course, he does it often in the 7s. Wasn't able to do it in that case. Luke McGrath now going for that box kick. Looking towards the touch line and does get that ball into touch about 40 metres out from the line. And this is the type of game for a lot of these younger Leinster players that they want to leave their mark. So if they can be the shining light in what is a poor performance, that may get them some sort of credibility moving forward. All these Leinster players are top 33. No excuse for the start, says Jimbo. Now that one's going to be thrown in, nicely taken by the Lions. JC Pretorius, short ball from Mone van den Berg, but this time it's going to be knocked on by Marius Lowe. Now Leinster have got themselves a counter-attacking chance. Now Kieran Frawley goes on the outside. Bit of stepping coming from Liam Turner in the midfield. Now Leinster, they have known the feeling all too well, though, of being ahead by a margin and then to end up losing a game. Those mentions of La Rochelle's contest. Glad we did La Rochelle, but I was worried Skelton was going to body bag us, injured so many South Africans the week before. Says Anthony, yeah, I mean, the Stormers' injury list is up to about 5 players from just that game. And it just showed the physicality that La Rochelle were bringing to that contest. Of course, the Stormers playing later on up against the Ospreys. We are also going to be covering that one on the channel. With what I'm seeing, Leinster doesn't have any depth in their squad, says Neo De La Cruz. I wouldn't say they don't have depth. I would just say that this first 20 minutes, I honestly feel is the best we've almost seen the Lions play throughout the whole URC. The way that their support run has been working and the way they've been able to use their wide channels with JC Pretorius creating line breaks with Morné Vandenberg as the support runner. Like, it is some of the best passing that we have seen from the Lions and some of the best attacking play that we've seen from them throughout the season. Now, that does not excuse some of the early missed tackles that we've seen from Leinster that have created the opportunities. But, yeah, I think credit where credit's due. The Lions have looked very, very strong throughout the start of this game. And throughout the last maybe 7 or so minutes, the sides have started to even out a little bit. We haven't seen the Lions getting quite as many running meters as they got early on. Storm is going to win today. I'd hope so. They come in as huge favourites for that contest. I think the biggest favourite of the whole round, I believe, the Stormers are. The Lions, they came in as favourites for this contest up against Leinster. Now no Humber. He is back into the pocket. Does kick it towards the halfway line. That is another drop ball there from Leinster. I think looking into the sun at the moment is really impacting them. In fact, are they looking into the sun or are they looking away from the sun? No, they're looking away from the sun. And does one say Morné Vandenberg? They did, yes. You've already got yourself a try and an assist, Morné, throughout this game. And 4 Irish internationals on. At least are just not at the races. Lions are containing them easily. And they've been called the best club in the world for the last 4 years. They haven't won any silverware, says Albert Funsale. And unfortunately for Leinster, the biggest thing that's hurt them is playoff rugby. And, you know, maybe that is also why they have kept so many Irish internationals out of the side, because they do want to finally put some sort of trophy in the cabinet, whether that's a Champions Cup. Oh, I think a cameraman just got told off for filming one of the Leinster players getting a bit of medical attention. I don't know what that was about. I think he was just showing him getting his shoulder like kind of rubbed a little bit, and then the guy went over to the camera and said, kind of, get out of here. That's the last team to be looked at, says Mr. Orlin. Afternoon all, says Richard, welcome in. And Stormers going to win today, says early in there. Another ugly scrum. A lot of movement early on at scrum time for these two sides. There hasn't been a lot of stability. I do think that the Lions have got a bit of an advantage, even though they have got a 30 kg disadvantage out there on the field. They have won back-to-back Six Nations, though, says Jimbo. That is true. 25 minutes through the Lions, sitting on the 3 tries, 22 points on the board. Just for anyone wondering about the betting odds at the moment, Leinster are, believe it or not, they're only $12 underdogs. Now, there's not many sides around the world that could be 22-0 down after 25 minutes and still only be considered that much of an underdog. This is pretty much around the odds that the Stormers are favourites for in their game up against the Ospreys. So that tells you how likely they are to win their contest according to the odds makers. But the ball is available off the back now for the Lions. Bounce pass to Marius Lowe, who goes with a skip pass. Out wide, Krill offloads on the inside to Edward van der Merwe, who breaks away from one tackle attempt, but he's bundled into touch now by the Leinster defence. It looks like there's going to be a little bit of push and shove here. Looks like Frawley's getting frustrated with Cronje there. I think you ain't right, or you are right, about the change of focus by Leinster to win the finals instead of every game. Says Burning Lash. Because that's the thing, if they had lost to La Rochelle, I still think they would have gone with a bit of a mixed side here, but maybe not as mixed or as, I guess, developmental as this team. Mainly because I feel like they would have still rested some of those players from the La Rochelle contest. But because they won, I think that that definitely heavily impacted who they were going to be sending to South Africa. Hey, Marius Lowe just actually asking about penalties. He was just asking the referee, do you understand what I'm saying? In terms of a knee being down in the breakdown, I think it was. And Cape Town are very cool. Weather for rugby, says William Moses. At the moment, the win predictor has it 91% in favour of the Lions. 7% for Leinster. 26 minutes through, Cronje the man. Says Spider Mech, Harry Byrne. Back across, massive shot from Emmanuel Tuchuka. And off his feet, Marius Lowe gives away the penalty. And sorry, my phone's autocorrect keeps changing. It says Bernie Lash. I worked it out in the end. I struggled for a start, but after I read it a few times for the first one, I did end up working it out. Kicked in a touch by Leinster. If they can go into halftime anything less than 14 points down, like I don't want to say they'll be in the contest, but it's probably reasonable in some regards. But if they can see one or two more tries, then it's just more of the case of how long till the Lions get to their 50 points in this matchup. Now, McGrath, they've said that the ball was available and the player was not infringing. Away to the left-hand side now. Thomas Clarkson gets his kneecaps taken out from underneath him by, I believe it was PJ Botha. Now kicked him behind by Leinster. Edward van der Merwe takes it nicely near the touchline, drives forward, bumps off one. Got rid of the tackle attempt of Liam Turner. They're 40 metres out from their line. Bye-bye Leicester. Says Steve. Leicester, are we talking about the Leicester Tigers? Of course, they are playing at the moment in the Gallagher Premiership, I believe. If I'm not wrong, I think it's the top of the table, or at least right up there. We'll look at the Premiership. Premiership Rugby. Yeah, Leicester are playing Northampton at 2:05. So they haven't quite played, but it is going to be a big matchup in the Gallagher Premiership. Leicester actually ranks 7th at the moment on 39 points. Northampton at the top of the bunch on 49. And Diego is in the chat. Welcome in. Just showing Edward van der Merwe. Career points, 125. I think that works out to be, how many tries would that be? About 25 tries throughout his career. 3 tries scored by the Lions. We have now got ourselves another scrum for van der Merwe. Looking very dangerous. And also Morne van den Berg. Like, I feel like he deserves a lot of credit for how the Lions have started in this game. And perhaps it's the perfect time to start finding form as we head towards the URC close, as well as the Springbok window of internationals. Find himself in the squad, perhaps. I know, but he gives it about the URC, says attack the gas station. So out of curiosity, what competition is the one that you care about? Attack the gas station then. I assume you got either Super Rugby, you got Gallagher Premiership, Top 14, Japanese Top League maybe, or maybe Super Rugby Argentina, I think is the other one, or Americas. There's another competition that is happening at the moment. Now the ball is going to be available for Leinster off the penalty. That is for collapsing the scrum against the Lions. They are now going to be kicking this one towards the touchline. MLR, that is true, another competition that has taken place. They look very close to kicking it dead there for Leinster. I think it's going to be about 7 metres out from the try line though. 29 minutes in URC is all the bacon, says Albert. I do like bacon. 4 penalties so far against Leinster. Just the 2 against the Lions, but now Leinster have got themselves the rolling ball opportunity here. About 7 metres out from the try line. Hanging on to this one at the back for Lee Baron, breaking away. Morne van den Berg makes the tackle. Have to try and roll away there. JC Pretorius, Bodie and Aaron Smith not looking too flash in that last game. Says Ryan. Now 5 metres out from the line. Throwing Magnan, or Mangan, I think it is, in the number 6 jersey. Jason Jenkins going across. That is close for Leinster. They're going to be just a metre short, if not less. Ball is available. What way do they go? Kian Healy goes a little bit closer to the post. And Leinster find themselves back into this contest now, getting closer. That's going to be held up though. There's the ball come out. It's held up. Brilliant defence from the Lions. Feel like whoever that was for Leinster got a little bit confused about where they were. It was actually that youngster, Mangan. He tried to go over the top, but unfortunately for him, there was just no gap. And in the end, the Lions able to hold him up. Becomes the goal line dropout. Looks like we've got a bit of an injury stoppage here for one of the Leinster players. Emmanuel Tuchuka putting in the shot with his shoulder. just stopped any sort of forward momentum. I got beat 40 points to 7. A TMO missed a no-arm tackle. I assume that was of Emmanuel Tachuka. Yeah, it did look like he was in the shoulder, like I mentioned. 30 minutes through at the moment. Goal line dropout about to take place for the Lions. I'm quite sad that Attack the Gas Station didn't tell us what competition people do care about rather than the URC. I feel like viewing-wise, the URC's right up there in terms of competitions, isn't it? Other than maybe Champions Cup. The two sides have met just twice before, with Leinster victorious on both occasions. As the stat that has just come up, who's looking the more physical team at the moment, says Albert. I would say that goes to the Lions, although Leinster have put in a couple big hits themselves. But they just haven't really, I guess, enforced that physicality enough. Here comes a big run from Max Deegan. Taken down well. Now McGrath going off to Harry Byrne. Decides to pass the other way to Cian Healy, who's still driving forward, the big man. Using some good power to move up to 20 metres out. Leinster on the attack. They've had a lot more possession in recent moments. URC is the new moneymaker. There's Albert there, Lions by a mile, Albert. And said that this Lions team will just get watered down when their players get bought by other unions. Says Justin. Although for now, they might even find themselves a URC title if they can stay in that top 8. Who knows what will happen. They're actually one of the South African sides that I feel travel the best, believe it or not. Now Frawley have got themselves the penalty advantage at the moment. Now Scott Penny, still 20 metres out from the try line. Rough pass there, it was too low. And I will go back for the original penalty in favour of Leinster. And the back line was offside, so that's about 12 metres out from the line now. And Leinster have got themselves the possession once again. I will mention anyone who's new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. You all being here for this stream. We've got 2 more taking place straight after this one. The next matchup is going to be the Bulls taking on Munster, followed then by the Stormers in their game when they do take on Ospreys. Leinster have kicked this one for the corner. They've had a lot more of the possession in the last 10 or so minutes. Seems like defensively they are starting to get it a little bit more right, although it looks like they have got themselves another injury here. Trying to work out who that was. I don't think it was Frawley. Might have been Andrew Osborne. Doesn't look like they're showing him at the moment. It looks like Jason Jenkins is really trying to fire up his side here. Try and get them to that next level. Jason Jenkins coming back to South Africa next season, just for example. South Africa teams getting big budgets from next year. They are just showing the 2 results that we've had so far, Ulster and Glasgow. The 2 victorious teams. Could be a bad day for Ireland. There's Jimbo. That's the thing. There's a few more games taking place involving the Irish sides. Connaught going to be going head-to-head with Zebra. I like to think that they would at least get themselves the victory there. But it's hard to say. All right, looks like he's going to be all right to continue. It was Liam Turner who was down rather than Andrew Osborne. But now will be the line-out throw for Leinster. They are in the shaded side of the field, so that is one bonus for the players at the moment. Will help them cool down a little bit more. The line-out hasn't been the best so far from Leinster. That one is a lot more solid though. And now it starts to maul its way towards the 5-metre line. They've been told to use it once. Barron's going to leave it for McGrath to take out the back door. Now going to the left-hand side, Charlie Ngatai slings it in behind. Numbers are there. Nice stepping. Looks like someone's off the field actually for Leinster. It's not McGrath, but the number 21 has made his way on there. Charlie Ngatai. He's dropped that ball. Okay, they'll go back for the original penalty advantage to Leinster for offside. So Leinster have actually made the change. I believe it is Cormac Foley who is now onto the park. I'm not actually sure who it is for. Is this Leinster's second team playing? Yeah, it's their more experimental or developmental side for Leinster, but they have still got some decent names scattered throughout that 15. A lot more going to be playing in that game of the semi-finals in the Champions Cup just around the corner when they go head-to-head with the Northampton Saints. Any live snippets of an anxious-looking neighbour? Are you seeing there, mate? Says Red Howell. They haven't shown the coaching box once, I don't believe, for this one. 6 minutes remaining in this first half, and Leinster again have been able to claim it. Nice looping around play, inside ball to Barron. They managed to drag him down here. But Leinster trying to go into the halftime break with less than a 22-point deficit. Getting it short there. Dragged down well was Ross Maloney. Late change, they've actually mentioned. It was supposed to be Brian Deeney, but must have been taken out. They're being tackled there. Leinster looking to the short side. Stepping there. That was risky for Leinster, and he's bundled into touch. Unfortunately, Rob Russell thought that he was about 150 kgs. Turns out he got thrown into touch like he was 15. And it means that the Lions have got themselves another line out here. And I don't even think they even travel with the team, says Albert there. Now the Lions, I think there was JC Pretorius again. He's having a blinder of a first half here. PJ Bota though, 5 metres out from their line. They've thrown it to the back. Emmanuel Techuka, real rare error from that man throughout this game. And it now gives Leinster another opportunity to have a scrum. This Leinster team have a huge cap count. Nothing experimental or second rate about them. They're just the April URC team. Says Jimbo. Knocked on by Emmanuel Techuka there. Be frustrated next year. Our teams start to benefit financially from the URC. It's when we start to flex our American rugby power, says Burning Lash. Currently 4.5 minutes remaining in this first up. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're back for the other two South African sides playing later on today, as well as next week. Those fixtures that I mentioned about for these two sides that are going to be taking place. The Lions have got Munster at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. And then at 5:05 a.m. New Zealand time, of course, different for you guys in South Africa. And that is going to be the Stormers versus Leinster. But we will be covering both of those games on the channel as well. Last 10 minutes has been played in the Lions 22, says Jimbo. Yeah, Leinster have come back into this game well in terms of possession and territory. They just don't have the tries on the board to be able to back it up. Max Deegan now running that one hard. Going off to the short side. Straight through, Turner scores it. Or does he? Did the ball bounce out and has he knocked it on? If he has, that is a massive mistake from Leinster. But if not, they will have 7 points. Is he happy? He looks confused. He looks frustrated here. He's accepting the high fives from his teammates. Oh, the original decision is no try for Liam Turner. And that's the type of one that you need to get. Probably why Bowden Barrett picked URC over Japan for the sabbatical, or it was Geordie Barrett rather than Bowden. And we have got there the tries from Jimbo. Right, we're going to see the replay here. Reaching out. Tell you what, it's looking all right. I'm half blind. That's very hard to tell because the grass has been ripped up so much from these teams. I think that's short. This aerial angle, that looks all right. That might be just short of the try line there. Oh, that's very close. Just short, maybe. Stormers play at what time, please, says Bruce. So their kickoff is in around, I think it's 3.5 hours time. Somewhere around there is when they are going to be starting. So New Zealand time it is 5:15. One moment. I'll quickly check the time in South Africa. Time in SA. Time in South Africa at the moment is 3:44, so it is going to be kicking off at 7:15 p.m. South African time. And looks short, says Burning Lash. Yeah, just short, I think, for Liam Turner. He looked unsure. We're looking at it 15 times. The on-field decision is no try, so if there's no conclusive evidence that he has got that ball over the line, which he... Oh, see, that's very close, that angle. That looks pretty good from there, but... From the other angle, it didn't look like it had crossed. That's a try, says Jimbo. Okay. Commentators are saying that it looks short. Okay, the referee does not have clear evidence. So it's going to be a knock-on against Leinster for it being short. And then knocked forward. And it does mean now that the Sharks have got themselves the scrum. But Leinster fans, they are disappointed with that one. They felt like it should have been a try for Liam Turner. And he did all the hard work as well. Busted through the tackle attempt, Liam Turner. And just couldn't finish the job. It's now 3:45. And another great decision by the ref. Why not just let the TMO decide? Says Jimbo. And we have got there, thanks, Amy, says Bruce. And also Lions getting a bonus point, win 200%, says Albert. And there as well. I should mention anyone who's new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we've got plenty more of the URC coming just around the corner with those two other South African games. The next one, the Bulls versus Munster. That is going to be a good game of rugby. Hopefully. Anyway, it should be. It's at Loftus. Those two sides going head-to-head. On-field call was short, says Burning Lash. So yeah, on-field decision was no try, so they needed clear and conclusive evidence for it to be overruled. And they didn't get that. So it does remain as no try. Now, 37.5 minutes in this contest. They are 5 metres out from their own line here, the Lions, and they will be feeding this ball in. And looking forward to seeing Marco and his brothers playing together today. A nice payback from the Lions for Leinster smashing Bulls last week, says the big Seddon. Now back into the pocket for Nohamba. We'll kick this one into touch. Didn't get a massive amount of distance on it. Dan will be sleeping for the Haney fight, mate. What time is that on? New Zealand time, Mr. All-In. A ref is in no position to call it, says Jimbo. So yeah, I think his assistant was the one who actually told him that he felt it was no try. And then the referee used that as his on-field decision. And 12 p.m. Oh, I might be asleep at that stage. It will be a good fight, though. I'll have to try and get up afterwards. And have a look now. 22 metres out from the line here for Leinster. McGrath going across there to Charlie Nyatai. Hello from 40 metres away, says Jimbo. But yeah, I guess for him it would have looked like a knock-on, wouldn't it? From the side, and perhaps for the referee, because the ball wasn't still in the grasp of the player, maybe that is what ruled him as more of a knock-on chance. Charlie Natai now trying to bust through the tackle attempt of Emmanuel Tichuka. McGrath going back across to Kean Healy. Another low tackle made by the Lions. 1 minute remaining. I think McGrath was asking for the penalty, doesn't end up receiving it. Another run from Mangan. Harry Byrne going off to Liam Turner, who was also close to being able to score that try. They're up to 8 phases here, Leinster. Another offload on the outside to Scott Penny. His foot got stuck in the ground. The Lions got themselves the turnover. That is fantastic work there. Not sure who it was. I want to say it was Frankie Horn, but I could be wrong there. He's about to get up. It was actually Juan Horn. And damn it, focus Lions. Says Burning Lash, but it's another knock-on, this time from Emmanuel Tichuka. Again, 2 mistakes from him in just the last 7 or so minutes. And Leinster's supposed to take 3 points just to get the points on the board, says Neo de la Cruz. 5 seconds remaining. I think that they've got their eyes set on a try. And yes, if they try time after time to get there and they aren't able to, that will be extremely frustrating for this Leinster team. Oh, they've just shown Jacques Naneibar, the senior coach of Leinster. He has made the trip over. It looks like Leinster this time are going for the scrum. Conclusive evidence. And Naneibar is here with the team. Says a Burning Lash. Wonder whether or not they'd try and back Max Deegan to go off the back. I think the trouble that they've got at the moment, though, Leinster, is the Lions have been so strong getting into the breakdown and getting those turnovers. And if they can continue to do that throughout the second half, that will shut down a large amount of the Leinster attack. And 18 minutes in Lions 22, and yet they are still not able to cross that try line for Leinster. I think that's also a big credit to the Lions' defence in the way that they have been able to control this game throughout the first 40 minutes. We have got there, tuning in late, Lise explains score, Hamish, second Leinster team, says Kirsten. They are missing a lot of the Irish internationals for this one, but the Lions started this match so well. In fact, probably the best that we have seen them in terms of that first 15 or so minutes. Where will the Lions be on the log, says Heinrich? Well, if they get themselves one more try and a win here, believe it or not, the Lions will move from 11th to 5th. They will go up 6 ratings if they are able to win this game with a bonus point here. Even if they don't win it with a bonus point, they will still move themselves up to 7th. Of course, they want to be up in that next rank though, and there are still games to go involving other sides. That's going to be another penalty against Lions. Now, this is starting to get a little bit concerning here, because if this penalty count gets any higher for the Lions, they may actually find themselves going to the bin, and that could be a little bit of an equaling factor. 3 offsides. Okay, time is off at the moment. We're 42 minutes through in this first half though. And holding out Leinster for 20 minutes is good. We need to exit the 22. That's better. Now moving closer. Any more offsides against the Lions, and I would say they will find themselves going to the bin for 10 minutes. No score since I started listening, says Stefan. Yeah, they were going so well, Stefan, when you first popped in. And then they've gone real quiet, haven't they? Max Deegan, 5 metres out from the line. Now into the pocket. McGrath, Harry Byrne going back across to Jason Jenkins. Again, to the right-hand side, Harry Byrne, skip pass out wide, another step, little bit isolated, tried to get back up and go again. Almost got himself penalised. McGrath, back across to Barron. Just seems to be that Leinster are getting really isolated in every breakdown at the moment. They need someone there ready to clean out as soon as possible. I believe Leinster will win this game. Says Machias there. Now, oh yes, a knock on, and that will end the first half. 43 minutes of, I guess, surprising rugby, I guess you could say, for this one. Brilliant start to the match with the Lions scoring all of their points within the first 15 minutes. Then Leinster just continuously attacking for the next 20 or so, but they weren't able to break through at all. 7th, says Jimbo, thanks Jimbo. Says Heinrich and halftime analysis. Says Albert Funsell. We are going to be looking at all the stats for that first half, if that is what you are talking about. But overall, the Lions did look like the better side. The one thing that will concern them, though, is that discipline. If they give away too many more penalties just out from their line, which if Leinster can get back right in front of their goal line in the second half, who knows, maybe that is something that could help equal this game there a little bit more. But so far in this game, we have seen the try for Juan Horn. We've seen Marius Lowe, and we have also seen Mone van den Berg score the first try in 36 seconds. Very speedy try and one of the quickest in the URC at this point. Possession stat at the moment is sitting 69% in favour of Leinster. They have got 13 defenders beaten compared to the 11 defenders beaten of the Lions. And defence, we've seen 13 missed tackles from the Lions, so 83% tackle completion. But they have got a better tackle completion than Leinster, who have only got the 74%. For their tackles, territory 80% in favour of Leinster. We're seeing the 6 penalties conceded by the Lions at the moment compared to the 4 of Leinster, and that was what I was talking about. Second half, that is something that could impact this game a little bit. Mone van den Berg, 2 clean breaks, 5 defenders beaten for Charlie Ngatai, as well as Edwil van der Merwe, and then the most running metres of any player coming for Edwil van der Merwe with 48. Jacques Forey, defence coach for the Lions, I think. And you see anyway back for Leinster. I think that discipline of the Lions is the one little shining light that they've got. Nalabakanye made any big hits? Not yet. He is coming off the bench in the second half. Not having their back row is showing. Doris, Conan, Van den Flair, etc. leaving the ruck clear out very weak, says Jimbo. And Leinster still have last 20 minutes of altitude led legs, says a Burning Lash. And a number of tackles. Marius Lowe actually making the most out of any player on the field with 11. Ross Maloney making 6. And then the turnover 1 for Dreyer a little bit earlier on in the half. And on the up, says Mr. All-In, currently in terms of the odds for this contest, Leinster come in as $16 underdogs. But, you know, they've still got a bit of something with them in this game. You know, like, as poor as it started, it could have been a lot worse. We were talking about Leinster conceding 50 points, and we were looking up their worst ever loss. And ever since then, they haven't conceded a single point. So I guess that's one bonus for Leinster at the moment, but it will be very interesting to see how the second half goes, whether or not the Lions can take him into deep water and really make a Leinster struggle. I should mention we have got a new channel member as well, Peter Nell. Thank you very much, mate, for becoming a channel member. You now have access to the emojis on the channel, so be sure to use some of them for the Lions off the bench. Vasahi, also Smith and Nalabakanye, Nortengo and Sangweni, and then also Stain Hendrickse, who could actually be a very handy option late, and then Henko van Veek is there at number 23. Then for Leinster, they have got McKee, Milne and Alatoa as the front row replacements. Maloney actually started this game, so I'm not too sure who they've got as their number 19, but Reece Ruddock is there at 20. I believe Foley was already on the field for some of that first half. Then they've got Prendergast, and then also alongside that, they have got Brownlee there as the number 23. So still plenty of action to come. Nohamba, scrum or fly half. He's playing fly half for this game, but he has got the option of going to scrum half if they do need him, but at the moment they do not, because Morné Vandenberg is having an absolute blinder. Sunheinen for all his eyes next half, but the Lions 22 in the shadow need to play it there, says Jimbo. Yeah, we'll certainly keep them a little bit cooler if they are able to play it throughout the shade. They are just showing some of the beautiful runs that we saw early on. That first try, JC Pretorius with the assist to Morné Vandenbergs. It was a thing of beauty. One of the Lions' last games for the season. There's 1, 2, 3 MS. I can tell you what the next game is, and that is going to be up against Munster. Then in terms of upcoming games for the Lions other than that contest, they have still got 3 more after that. Their one after that one will be up against Cardiff. That is also going to be in South Africa. That is on the 12th of May. Then they have got their game on the 19th of May up against the Glasgow Warriors. That is also in South Africa. And then on the 1st of June for their final game, they are up against the Stormers. And that one may actually determine a little bit in terms of how high some of these South African sides are ranked going into the playoff game. So it could be a crucial one for them. And that is going to be a home game for the Stormers. Irish will probably get back something early in second half, but the Lions will pull away in the last 20. Says Albert, I might as well just bring them back. Do you have Safa Heritage? Your pronunciation intrigues me. I do not know. I've just spent a lot of time commentating South African games. Like some names I still absolutely butcher, and every once in a while people do have to correct me in terms of the pronunciation. So all Lions remaining games are in South Africa. They certainly are. Just one of them away from home up against the Stormers in Cape Town for the final round. But if they win this game with a bonus point, they will find themselves sitting on 5th place in the overall table, which would be a massive boost, because the fact that they can go from 11th to 5th in one game just tells you how close this competition has been, and there are going to be some great sides that miss out in terms of those playoff contests. Just more of a question of who's it going to be at the moment. I think Edinburgh, they will be a little bit nervous, although they have got their game coming up just a little bit later on tonight, in which they are playing up against the Scarlets, so that should boost them. Connacht are playing Zebre, so that should boost them. It's going to be an interesting one going down to the wire in that regard. And I should also mention, I mentioned that the Lions can go up to 5th. My apologies, they can actually only go to 7th due to the fact that they have 1 less games than these two sides. I forgot that that was actually a technicality. They don't do it off points differential for the URC. It's based off how many games you have won. So they would still get into the top 8, but they wouldn't actually be in 5th due to the rankings. You are incent, or excellent. And I'm South African, says Heinrich. And there as well. But the second half just around the corner. There is another game taking place at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the one between the Benetton side and also they are playing the Dragons. And it is 19-0 in favour of Benetton going into half-time. But the next game that is just around the corner, it is going to be the matchup between the Bulls and Munster. We are pretty much jumping straight from this live stream to that next one. So be sure, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. And then straight after that game, we are jumping into Stormers versus Ospreys. And 2 disallowed tries and 1 interception given away. Leinster not as far back as the scoreboard suggests, says Jimbo. 2 disallowed tries. So they had the one that they were short. What was their other disallowed one? I'm trying to remember what it was. There was one that they were held up, but that one was clearly held up, wasn't it? But what was their other one? Why can you show us your TV? or why can't you show us your TV so we can watch? Because of licensing, pretty much. If we were to show any match footage or audio, we would get taken off YouTube for copyright infringement. We would probably get sued. And then alongside that, we wouldn't be able to stream on the channel for a total of 90 days until that copyright strike is removed. So that is why we're unable to show match footage. But I do recommend finding the URC website section which says where to watch. And then you'll be able to see exactly where you can watch depending on where you are in the world. Aware, says Hirsch. And the chat, and by the way, liked and subscribed. Your commentary is fantastic, says James. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. And held up, says Jimbo. Although a held up, you would slightly argue isn't a disallowed try. That's just a poor decision made by Leinster. Which sounds pretty brutal, but like, yeah, it was clearly held up there. So it wouldn't really be a disallowed try for me in that case. If that makes sense. Quick question on the Sarkies last game. Did they play a B team and why? They did. I think they did it because they want to try and win the Challenge Cup. They also, though, have kind of thrown this URC away, so their eyes are more for the Challenge Cup now rather than the URC competition. And it is, says Jimbo. And also we have got there, did Leinster send a weak team? It's a weaker team, but they've still got some very good players. And the Lions, the way that they started this game is certainly... Like, if they can play like that throughout the rest of the competition with their home games and put sides under that much pressure throughout that first 20 minutes or so, like, that is going to be something that it's very hard to beat. Jimbo just tries when a try, or when you score a try, but the officials decide to reverse the decision. I'm just crewing my team as being smashed lol, says Jimbo. Yeah, that's probably fair enough. And like we said, even the most loyal Lions supporters would not have predicted 22 points to be scored by their side within the first 15 minutes. Like, that was just unheard of, the way that they were playing early. Swap lines for the Satyrs, says Mr. All-In, Champions Cup, not Challenge Cup, says Albert. For the Sharks, they're in the Challenge Cup, though. The Champions Cup has got Leinster in it. But, yeah, we were talking about the Sharks and their side, so that is why we were talking about the Challenge Cup. They are going to be going head-to-head with, I think it's Clermont, in the semi-finals. Should be an interesting game. That is going to be in early May as well, I should mention, for anyone who is wondering about when those games take place. So we got next week URC. The week after that is going to be back into the Champions and Challenge Cup playoff games. And then the week after that, we are back into the URC again. Just showing the highlights of the tries. Juan Horn off the interception of Nohamba. That is when the first try for that man came in, and possibly not the last either, with the way that they were able to attack. Who was the top two of the table? Says Mr. All-In. So the way that it sits at the moment, the top two are Leinster at the top of the bunch on 54 points, and then the team second is Glasgow to pull off a big victory over the Sharks, 21 points to 10 in their game yesterday. And the Bulls are in third. They have an opportunity to slightly close that gap. They could end up being on 50 points. The other side of things is Munster. If they can pull off a win, they can slightly extend that lead away from Stormers, who are sitting in that fifth place. So there's plenty of matches today that mean a lot for certain sides, and I'm very curious to see who manages to pull off the victory. They are just showing some of the stats. Meters made 248 in that first half for the Emirates Lions compared to the 150 made by Leinster. Also, another pivotal stat, I would say, is that penalty count, though. 6 against the Lions, including 3 for offside just out from their own try line. Makes me wonder whether or not that will be a deciding factor later on. And the Conte's, yep, 3 at once, says Albert. And how many comps? 3 at the same time, says Kirsten. So theoretically, like, for these sides, they're in 2 competitions, because you either are in the Champions Cup or the Challenge Cup. You can't be in both, unless, of course, you've ended up finishing, I think it's 5th in your group for the Champions Cup. You go through to the Challenge Cup, but you don't play that competition at the same time. It's kind of like you get transferred to the other one. So yeah, 2 competitions for these sides that they have to try and balance their squads out for. The Lions were recently knocked out of the Challenge Cup by Benetton. Do you think the Bulls will win Munster? I think so. I think that they should be strong enough to get themselves that victory. Who won the last time? These two men in Johannesburg, says Luke. I know that the Lions have played the Leinster side twice and they have lost both times, Lions. So it's going to be a big win here if they can get the job done. And Ireland and Leinster both guilty of impatience in the front of the try line. Give up more held-up tries than anyone else, says Jimbo. And Leinster Luke, says Albert in there as well. Now, second half just about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen. Leinster, they are kicking off from right to left as the shadows start to go over the ground. We have got their same as Champions League and Europa League. Says Ryan, exactly right. Nicely taken there on the 22 by the Lions here. At the moment for them, it's all about getting that last try to give them that bonus point and bump them up a little bit further on the table. Get those points at the most crucial time of the season. Only about 4 games to go. And Morne Vandenberg from just outside of his 22 will put the ball high. Goes just into the half of Leinster. Now Rob Russell, a man who hasn't had a huge amount of chances throughout this game. I think Leinster are going to make a comeback, but the Lions are going to win 33-25. So here's Juan there. Now passed on the outside to Turner. Almost a knock-on, but brilliant hands from Leinster to be able to regather it. Definitely because it was in the sun as well. Wouldn't have been the easiest one to be able to spot. Cian Healy swarmed by this Lions defence. And if Leinster want a really good shot of being able to win this game, that sounds weird to say, but they need to get a Lions player sent to the bin. And the way that they can do that is be just out from the Lions in-goal area where those penalties were coming thick and fast. Lions must not go into defensive mode, says Zender. Well, shadow stretched during the break, says Jimbo. Penalty going away of Leinster there. That was due to JC Pretorius just getting a little bit too keen in that case. And in the old days, is less complicated. In South Africa, you either had the Curry Cup or Super Rugby, says Albert. Although now it's a little bit similar in some regards for these URC sides. They are either in the Champions or Challenge Cup, depending on how they're ranked. And then alongside that, you do end up playing in the URC, but it's a competition. We've got to remember the South African sides wanted to join it. So even though it might be a little bit more taxing on their teams and a little bit different, a bit more travel in terms of going north-south, north-south, it's exactly what the South African sides wanted. They wanted the challenge, and now they've got to try and meet it head on. Hopefully the Cheetahs in Super Rugby in a year or two. Says Kirsten, does George North still play for the Ospreys? He does, but he's injured at the moment. So sadly, he is not going to be playing in that game later on. And Leinster will win, trust me. Says Marcus there. I've seen this before against the Lions. Although that's very close to a turnover for the Lions. In fact, they haven't been able to get it in the end. 22 metres out. Still going to be available there. Charlie Natai. It's that ball up. Still 22 metres out, but that is going to be the handling error. Okay, then New Zealand kicked us out, although they still had to join the URC. Like, they could have easily said no, but it wouldn't have made any sense to. And instead, they decided to join the URC, and I feel like some sides have been able to thrive under that new competition. And Feasting Simba action on, thanks, you okay? Says Obi. During COVID, they threw us out of Super Rugby, says Kirsten. So yeah, like, I mean, there's a lot of South African fans, I think, who are grateful that the URC were willing to add the South African sides, as it gave them a better competition in some regards to be able to play in. It's the perfect time zone as well, all the games taking place at that similar time. Yes, at times it's a bit more travel, but you know, it's a competition that has proved competitive. We saw the Stormers take out the first year, saw them make it to the final in the second year. Trust me, Hamish, I've seen this, mate. Leinster versus Lions last season. Sam Prendergast saving them, and he's actually going to be making his way off the bench for Leinster. And this one now, beautiful run down the wing, past the Baron, and Leinster score the first try of the second half. It's a high tackle as well from Juan Horn as he went over the try line, but Leinster have struck first in the second half. Couple missed tackles from the Lions. Not what they would have wanted there. Cheetahs and Super Rugby would be fun, but they can't afford it. Things will get better for them from next year, says Albert. Now, I think they'll want to check this one to see if there was a forward pass from Leinster, because I think it was very close to one. Out here on the wing, And that is a forward pass in my eyes. And ain't no try, says Blues, Nate. Yeah, they're going to be checking it. I think this is going to be a no try. And could we see Leinster's coach become the coach for Ireland when Andy Farrell goes to the Lions? So here's Luke, and here comes the mighty Leinster. Although the mighty Leinster, as you've called them, may have just made a schoolboy error. It's a no try for a forward pass. And Leinster are still yet to add any points on the board now. It's no advantage though. Here's Marchius, but yeah, just travels forward and a few forward passes, Burning Lash. And why is the Lions doing good like? I mean, they just started the match with a lot of good attacking intent, and from there, they've just added more and more points on the board when they've been available. Well, kind of. Throughout their first 15 minutes anyway, then it's got a little bit silent for them. Okay, 4 passes to call, so it is going to be the scrum feed now for the Lions. Now, I believe because that was the first initial thing that happened, they can't actually penalise Juan Horn for that high shot on the man who was scoring the try. That is going to be Lions ball now with 36 minutes remaining, but that Leinster try is going to be taken away, although for now the scoreboard does not want to take it off them. Is that because it thinks that try is just around the corner, perhaps? Now, ball about to be fed in by the Lions. And that's an awkward scrum again. A lot of movement. Penalty goes the way of the Lions. Luke Farrell and Lions is temporary. Won't interfere with Leinster structure, says Jimbo. And also, why is the Lions doing... Oh, no, I read that one, didn't I? The next game kicking off in less than an hour's time, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. So that next one is going to be Munster versus the Bulls. Island structure, sorry. Says Jimbo. Yeah, the sun just slowly starting to go down. I believe the game at Loftus, it will almost be completely gone for that contest. It looks like Mike McKee has made his way onto the field. That is for Barron. Also, the change has been made. Milne onto the field for Kian Healy. And Michael Alaratoa has made his way onto the field. And Brownlee has made his way onto the field for Charlie Nartai. So actually, Leinster almost emptying their bench already, going with a 6-2 split in this contest. Let's see if they can make the most of it here. And maybe it's been a sunny South Africa day, and Leinster has not used all that vitamin D. And I got my second disallowed try, Albert, says Jimbo. And also, Lions thought they won the game after 15 minutes. Says Stefan, it's a good clearing kick from Luke McGrath, now moving back towards that halfway line. Another line-out chance here for the Lions. And they want that last try. They are one away from the bonus point. It's all they need. Just one more. And that'll get them in a good position. One more. Like that. And I like that. At the moment, the win predictor actually has 95% in favour of the Lions. Compared to earlier on, the scoreboard still won't take away Leinster's disallowed try, but maybe they'll get one soon. Morne van den Berg. The halfway line at the moment here for the Lions. Going to be feeding this ball in behind. Back across Nohamba with the short ball. Be well protected by the Lions here. Van den Berg going off to the left-hand side to Norre. Leinster have certainly looked better after that first 15 minutes. Porter Healy and Furlong, the best props in rugby, says Kirsten. And also thoughts on Ed Will's scrum cap. As in like him wearing it, or is there a special design? I can't see it close enough to know if there's like a special design on it. I see that it's white at the moment, but yeah, I haven't seen it close enough. Know too much about it. But 22 metres out from their own line here, the Lions, Nohamba looking to return fire with a kick of his own. Sorry, but how did Kirtley get on today for the Force for his comeback? He actually played very well, Kirtley Bell, in that game. And I feel like, you know, he was probably one of the main reasons, well, one of the reasons anyway, that he did well, or the Force did well, I should say. And 21 degrees is 8 degrees higher than we've had in Ireland this year. I've been diagnosed with low vitamin D, says a Jimbo. There's a portrait of his dog on it. See, I didn't know that, but I mean, I guess he must like his dog quite a bit if that's the case. South African is not putting teams away. It's about going down to the wire, which is more dramatic, says Cool Story Bro. And Jimbo, it's not your day-to-day Lions going to win this, no matter how much passion you bring to the table. Is it a dog or a lion? Says Zenda there. Now another penalty goes the way of the Lions. Sitting around that halfway line at the moment. And yeah, it's just that rush defence from Leinster. Does not work out. He was too quick there, Rob Russell. Knows he got it wrong. And looks like the Lions are actually going to line up 3 points here. I think so. Says Jimbo. This doesn't change too much overall other than the amount of, I guess, kicks over that Leinster would need to get for them to be able to get back into the contest. Of course, they still need 4 tries. I'm a little bit surprised the Lions haven't chased that bonus point at this point, but maybe it is still early on in the half, so they want to make sure they're still ticking over the points that they can. Anohamba lining up this kick, and he has just snuck it over. Wait. Okay, hang on. Right, they're going to check this. The flags went up and then the flags went down. Okay, it was inside of the post over the crossbar, says one of them. They want to check this one, though. We don't often see a TMO involved on a kick. Interesting. Oh, I'm sure you'll get the right diet and supplements. Says Gold Story Bro. Yeah, now looking at this one to see whether or not it's gone over. It shouldn't take too long to determine if it's gone over the post or not. Yep, it's gone over. Just for the Lions. So that kick is good and it now makes the score 25 points to 0 in favour of the Lions. Go the Lions, says Martin Brown. And there as well. And they have had a great start to this match. That is their first points of the second half. And actually their first points since 15 minutes in this contest. That just shows how great of a start the Lions got off to. 25-0 on the board now. It's going to be kicked off long by Leinster. Taken by Emmanuel Tichuka. He's had 2 handling errors already throughout this game. And that is going to be his third. I think that one may have popped out the side, although it is going to be the penalty against Leinster. Again, have Leinster not been in the Lions half at all to chip away at the scoreboard. Would love for the Lions not to concede a single point. Well, that's the thing. The last 20 minutes of the first half, Leinster were on attack inside of the Lions 22. They just couldn't get through and score themselves a try. The Lions need the bonus point. Go Lions. Lions better score their bonus point try before they go into hibernation, says Stefan. They have got themselves another penalty here, the Lions. Will be able to work their way down the field. What odds? Leinster no score. I don't think they have that on our TAB. At the moment, in terms of the chance of Leinster winning, is $31 underdogs, which is pretty, I guess, substantial, you could say. The way that it sits, Lions would move up to 7th. The scoreboard does remain this way as is a Leinster B team. They're missing some Irish internationals, but they have still got some very capable players out there on the field. Now the Lions going to be throwing this ball in, nicely claimed on the halfway line, but that was almost a knock-on from Juan Horn. It went back to JC Pretorius, Emmanuel Tichuka, taken down on the halfway line. Ball's available. Mone Vandenberg puts it back into the pocket to Nahamba with a forward pass out wide, and it has also gone into touch. No hibernation 480, says Zenda there. Now chance for Leinster to be able to get on the score sheet for the first time today, which feels crazy to say with the amount of chances that they've had, but just haven't been able to finish. Okay, that makes more sense. Says Gold Story Bro. Now 29 minutes left. Theoretically, if Leinster score 1 point a minute, they're back in it. But if the Lions, I believe, if they get one more try, the Lions have won just 2 of their 10 previous encounters with Irish provinces, is the stat that has just popped up on the field as well. So a 20% win rate is about to become closer to that 28 or so. Is that tie head back for the Lions after getting that red card a couple games back? Or which one are we talking? Are we talking Did Nalabakanye, was he the one who got the red card for Lions? If he was, he is on the bench. Funny that the first 70 minutes won this game. Proper prep by the Lions. And there's going to be another penalty now going back in favour of Leinster. Like I mentioned, the best chance for Leinster to be able to win this game is to try and get back inside of the Lions 22 and get the Lions a yellow card for repeat infringements, because they have been a little bit ill-disciplined. They've given away the 6 penalties, 3 of which just out from their try line. A couple more of them that will remind the referee maybe should be reaching for his pocket. I honestly don't see Leinster winning this game, though, without having a man advantage at some point. Because, 25 points to make up and 28 minutes. Nahamba, I must go on next. That massive prop for the Lions. Said the big V8 show. I mean, he's been close to scoring Nahamba. He has got himself a try assist. Calling a win already. Do you know nothing, Jon Snow? And come on, Lions focus, says Burning Lash. Now, nice short ball from Leinster. Flicking it out the back door, but it's a loose ball. It's going to be cleaned up, though. Nicely picked up. I believe that was by Rob Russell. Lions defending it well. Ball is still in the breakdown now. Scott Penny going short ball in behind. Sits up for Leinster. And Crawley will score it. They've got their first half, or their first try of the second half. And your scoreboard update is the slowest I've ever seen. Says Stefano, it was really bad throughout the early stages. It took 12 minutes to register the try that was scored in 36 seconds by the Lions, which was not ideal, but it's kicked in relatively quickly for that Leinster try. It was grubbed in behind by Harry Byrne, and it's set up there for Frawley to be able to finish it off. And does. Yeah, the try too far, too gone, says Mr. All-In. Now lining up this kick for Harry Byrne. It's an important one, has to go over, just to keep them well and truly in the hunt. It was from 22 metres out. Has got it over there, and now the score is 25 points to 7. Is it the start of a comeback here for Leinster? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. There's not much time left, but then saying that didn't take many minutes to be able to score that try theoretically from the last time we mentioned that Leinster were in possession. I like turtles, says Cool Story Bro. Turtles are very good little creatures, aren't they? Well, quite big, some of them. My question is, well, I have a question about the tortoise and the turtle, but I think tortoises are on land, aren't they, whereas turtles are in the ocean. And Leinster sent 23 fitness staff to how ever going to weather the storm. I guess disrespect all round, says Hang Rap. And I was reading there, Frawley will be a big player in the future, being held back by Hugo Keenan and Leinster and Islander, maybe for Leinster, or maybe a try for Leinster will jolt the Lions out of their slumber. Well, that's the thing. The Lions are still yet to get themselves that extra bonus point that I think would be the bare minimum that they want to walk away from this game. I always thought Turtles eat pizza. Says Mr. Orlin, I reckon the Lions should have won 2016-2017 final. Wasn't for the Crusaders. I'd have 16 players at the time. Says Blues Nate. Now Leinster. Won't be their line-out throw, but they will look to try and get this turnover to be thrown in now by Visaki. And it has gone in nicely claimed by the Lions and and what is the head of a Turtles called? Or heard of Turtles called? I'm not sure about that one. Is this a full strength Leinster team? It is not, no. Some decent players in there, but not really too many of the Irish internationals for this matchup. They are saving themselves for the semi-finals of the Champions Cup. Well, they got the try, says Stefan. That is true. Now, being told to use it for Nahamba. Is he on the field for Morne van den Berg? No, he's not. And that's another penalty going the way of Leinster, who have now taken the quick tap. Here goes Luke McGrath charging forward. Ball bounces out the back door, but Leinster trying to up the tempo, which is definitely something that people were not expecting in this game, seeing as it's being played at altitude. But brilliant turnover for the Lions. They've been able to take it back, and now they've grabbed it in behind. It's going to be a foot race. Here comes Richard Creel. They made the mistake, although he has been tackled. Offloads it up, and Emmanuel Tachuka has finished the job. Leinster had an attacking intent in mind, but it's the bonus point now for the Lions. Good day all, joining a bit late while the Lions hang on there, says Arthur. And Luke McIdiot McGrath says Jimbo there on bonus point. Yes, and if the Lions have made any front row changes yet, they certainly have. I see that Nalabakanye is on the field. Also, Vasahi is out there. I'm not sure about the loose head prop, though, whether or not there has been the change in that department. But, I mean, it seemed like a good idea for McGrath to take it quickly. Unfortunately, there was just one Irish player, or one Leinster player, sorry, who decided rather than passing the ball, he would run it. And then he got the ball turned over in the breakdown because there was no support for him. I mean, could have been good if he had broken through, but he did not. In that case, and just tuning in after waking up at 2 a.m. this morning from sleeping early after a long day, says Simi Sosa and full 80 Lions drive the nail home, says Zinda. And there as well, but now Nohamba. Currently sitting 4 from 5 in the kicking department, so he has been looking very strong throughout this matchup. And he make it 5 from 6, about 22 metres out. He shanked that one badly. So that'll keep the score at 30 points to 7. May have got a little bit of cramp on his way through there, the Lions, in my opinion. The South African team who play the most beautiful rugby. Says Hanger at. Tell you what, when they're on the counter-attack, I think that they have some of the crispest support running that we've seen out of South African sides. Like the way that Morne van den Berg was able to support run for JC Pretorius in that first half. Then we also saw the support running of, you know, whether it's Marius Lowe in that other first half try. I see that Ruddock is now onto the field. That is for Mangan. And the Lions need to teach Sharks how to attack. And we spent the first 20 minutes being isolated. We stopped and turned the tide. Then McGrath puts us right back into the poo, says Jimbo. Maybe former Lions, says Tristan there. 21 and a half minutes remaining. Nathaniel now makes his way onto the field. That is for Willem Alberts. And I think we haven't really said too much of another Bakanye back up there on the field. He's a big bloke in that Lions front row. Leinster have got themselves the line out here, though. Thrown in by Mike McKee, claimed by Ruddock. And Tachuka is like Hoskins to do, a great flanker, especially in support play. Deserves a call-up, I reckon. If Mostert got credit for work rate, so should Tachuka, says the big set-in. That's the thing, like Emmanuel Tachuka, him and his brother at the moment are both very much so, I think, in with half a shot. Like, there's probably a few that they have still got ahead of them, but they both seem like they'd be very handy, and perhaps could be a brother combo in that Bok loose forward trio in a few years' time. Now, inside ball from Harry Byrne, gets it away to Scott Penny. Traditionally, New Zealand teams has the best support running as well, says Zender. And maybe winning in South Africa at this stage of the tournament might be harder now, says Arthur. It's going to be passed out wide, not a lot of space to work with here for Leinster. That was Cronje, went straight in off his feet. Doesn't end up giving away the penalty though, as William Albert's still playing. Must be 52 by now, says Hangerat. He's getting up there, but yeah, he's still out there on the field for the Lions. Well, he's not now. He's made his way onto the bench, but yeah, decent performance. Just does what he needs to in the lineouts. His knees must be hurting. Oh no, he's still out there. They just said that he was taken off, but maybe he decided to come back on. 22 metres out, and the advantage now in favour of Leinster. Harry Byrne tries the cross kick. It does work out, but he's driven into touch. They'll go back for the original penalty advantage. They don't have South African ID, says Hans Juster. And there, and also thanks Grant, says cool story, bro. And also the Tachuka brothers can't play for the Box. Are they not citizens? Oh, are they... Oh, where are they from? Is it the Democratic Republic of Congo? No. Whereabouts are they located? Originally, the Chichuka brothers. Is it Congo? Okay, thanks, Grant. There's the big VH show. I think South African players are the best in the world at the ruck, both spoiling and slowing. Leinster struggling to get any ruck speed. They're used to. I thought the South African teams had attribution issues. Ghana. Okay. Especially after what happened with the Bulls in their last game, sending the under-strength team against Northampton in the Champions Cup, says Sammy Souza. Okay, sounds like Marius Lowe just having a bit of a chat to the referee. Had another warning there. They're from Congo. Yes, you're right. Says Albert. Democratic or DRC Brew. Did I actually get Democratic Republic of Congo right? Tell you what, that deserves a half by round of applause, don't it? Raw is Ghana. Says 1, 2, 3 MS. Okay, 1 and 5 going off the field now for the Lions. So there's going to be Delport making its way from the field and also Nore. Right. Not Nacho. It's going to be on to the field. Now, line out throw for Leinster. Oh. Says Anna's A in geography, Hamish. Says a Jimbo. Raw is Ghanaian. Says 1, 2, 3 MS. They're only 2 metres out here, Leinster. As the time starts to tick down that little bit further towards the 80 minutes. The benefit that Leinster do have is they can score these tries close to the post. That gives you a 7-point. Last I heard, they were busy trying to get citizenship. Says Harnes now around the side. It's going to be Rhys Ruddock. Driven backwards by Emmanuel Tichuka. 22 minutes left. Day ain't over yet. Let's hope the Lions can keep their foot on the gas. Says Hangarat. Now around the side of the breakdown, it is Michael Alatoa. Well defended from the Lions, who did have a great tackle percentage throughout that first half. That's close for Max Deegan. Irish geography, says Grant, in there as well. Around the side. Can adjust that a little bit closer. Might have been a bit of a head knock for the Leinster player. Democratic Republic of Congo. Could have a team with Madosh Tumbwe. Says 1, 2, 3 MS. How full is the stadium, Hamish? Hope the support is there for the boys. Get a big win today. It's not a lot. That's going to be Frawley again who breaks through. Did it for Beast. Citizenship, I mean. And well done, Leinster, says Burning Lash. But that is the second try now for Frawley. Single-handedly scoring points to try and get them back into this contest. He looks like he's running a little bit gingerly, and that is not because of the colour of his hair. Looks like he's got some sort of injury perhaps in one of his legs. Frawley. Says Jimbo, and well done, Leinster. Says Burning Lash. They break through again in the form of Frawley. What does that do? The $26 underdogs now Leinster find themselves as. Lining up this kick. It's going to be the youngster Sam Prendergast. He was mentioned not too long ago about a late comeback. That one's missed though, so that's not changing nothing. Hey, Hamish, can you name the player who got the final penalty kick for New Zealand in the 2011 World Cup final? Was it Stephen Donald in 2011? Was he the one who got it over? So I know they went through quite a few. They had, I think it was Dan Carter for a start, then it was Colin Slade, then it was Aaron Cruden, and then it was Stephen Donald, I think was the order. It was something like that though. South African teams have a habit of being bad on defence in the last 20 minutes, hoping they keep it together. Says Angerat, and a ref ignoring the no-arm chop tackles. Says Jimbo. Now 16 minutes remaining. You know what time it is, Hamish? Do I? In the game or like in New Zealand? Only 16 minutes left. Fun fact, if Leinster score as many points in the last 16 as the Lions did in the first 16, Leinster would win this game. But that's going to be very hard to do. This is doing a huge service to the Bulls URC gamble. Home advantage in the final would be huge. Absolutely. A home field advantage at Loftus would make all the difference, I believe, for the Bulls. As we did see what happened when they went and played for that game in Ireland, and it wasn't quite their smoothest performance, although also not quite their... Well, that first game was close to their strongest side, and it just seemed to not quite click for them. But, yeah, home field advantage in the URC was seen as being so crucial for sides throughout the competition. Hello, Hamish, says Byron. Welcome in. There's an interesting last 16 minutes for the Lions, according to the game clock. Now going off to the right-hand side, Jordan Hendricks has also made his way onto the field. Nalabakanye now charging forward for the Lions, get to the 50 points. Says Blues Nate. Going to be kicked high from Juan Horn. Nicely taken by Leinster with Ben Brownlee. Oh, he's just been butchered. Just went straight at the big men and got sent backwards. Nice style at a dummy there from Sam Prendergast. Gets his ankles taken out from underneath him. Lions in the breakdown, but their hands were down. Carter went down. Cruden Slade and then Beaver himself in 2011. So I got Cruden and Slade round the wrong way. Those ones game on. Lions need to wake up, defend their lead. Says Stefan. So we go there. Go the Lions, says Heinrich. In time for the anthem on the ukulele, says Mr. Orland. I don't know about that, the ukulele. Well, the guitar is currently in storage as it was not sounding the best. Now we have got there, as I guess Beaver, the boat guy, says, good story, bro. Isn't it crazy to think that he got a movie made about that for Stephen Donald? Penalties conceded 11 against the Lions. They could see too many more inside of their 22. Like I mentioned, that yellow card could be coming, nicely taken by Ross Maloney. Leinster now looking to use their backline, but they've decided to shut it down at first receiver. Wondering whether or not that is the right choice. Another big fan coming in from Michael Milne. In fact, that time it was Mike McKee. Michael Milne, ball's been knocked backwards into the pocket here to Sam Prendergast. Goes across again to Ben Brownlee. The replacement for Leinster starting to make a few crucial meters here. And good game, Lions, hats off, and Crusaders' worst season ever, says Dominique. And isn't it crazy that because it's 8 teams going through in the Super Rugby competition, there's still a chance of the Crusaders making it to the quarters? And hey, where can I see the movie? What's it called? No, it's not called The Last Kick. It's called something that's a great bit of work from Emmanuel Tachuka and gets over it. Can anyone name, I'm sure Sammy Souza will know, what was that movie called, Sammy Souza, for Stephen Donald? Or it might have been more of a documentary, actually. The mustache on the replacement hooker for the Lions is a thing of beauty, says Grant there. A much better mustache than myself, that is for sure. 67 minutes through and a crucial time to win the turnover if you are the Lions. And whole new coaching stars plus many goats retired at the Crusaders, says Blues Nate. Ball has not found touch from Jordan Hendrickson. And now charging forward here. Chance for Rob Russell, who should still be relatively fresh. We haven't seen him with the ball in hand too much at all. Breaking the line again. Here comes Scott Penny trying to find that next link up. He is tackled well. The ball is still there for Leinster, who look to shift it away to the right-hand side this time. Jason Jenkins hits the ball up. How many tries for Lions? They have got the 4, so they have got the bonus point in this contest. It's just more of the question now of are they walking away with the full 5, or is there still a little bit of a late Leinster comeback here on the cards? They thought about going out wide once again, though. A little bit of decision-making going wrong there. Looking for the offloads. Rob Russell shut down by Edward van der Merwe, went in straight through the side of the breakdown. Now short side. Not a lot of space to be able to work with there. Lions looking for the clean out. It looks like a cheap shot came in on Luke McGrath. And it's called The Kick. Oh, it's just called The Kick. Is it a documentary or is it a movie? Loose ball. Cleaned up by Leinster. 22 metres out at the moment. Another good shot on Mike McKee, and there was a knock on, though, along the way. I wish we were, Nate. And also we've got there looking solid right now, says Blues Nate. And the middle is broken, says Mr. Orland. Now 69 minutes through. Oh, a little bit of push and shove there. Marius Lowe laughing about it. I believe the doco on Stephen Donald is called The Kick, Hamish. Says Simi Souza there. Another Noah. Oh, yeah. A big shot coming in from Marius Lowe. Now, I should mention the next live stream that we have got, ladies and gentlemen, is actually going to be starting in 15 minutes' time. There is hardly any gap that is going to be in between these two games. We're straight into Munster versus the Bulls. That game has taken place at Loftus. Should be an outstanding one. Lions need this win, says Dominic. They certainly do. And if they win it, they move up to 7th on the overall table. They would be on 39 points as well, tying with the Stormers and Ulster. What we will quickly do, ladies and gentlemen, is we will show you the table. So they are sitting in 11th. They will move up to 7th. Now, they would have a better points differential than the Stormers and Ulster, but this competition is not based off points differential. It is based off the amount of wins that you have got and then points differential. So that is why they'll sit in 7th rather than in 5th. But it puts them right in the running for a home quarterfinal. Could be on the cards. And the 50, Mr. Orland or the Crusaders. And come on, 10 minutes left. And making the 8 will still not get you there, Hamish, says Mr. Orland. At the moment, 11 minutes left. 2 tries on the board for Leinster. And I know that they're in that scenario how maybe they aren't going to be able to win this game. But if they can get 2 more quick tries in this last 10 minutes, yes, it wouldn't get them the win, but it would still get them that bonus point, and it would actually get them an extra one as well for being within 7, which would help get them just that little bit further up on the overall standings. As a South African, it is my favourite non-South African rugby story. Remember, his shirt was too small when I watched it live. A wonderful tale. Thanks, guys. We'll watch. Says, cool story, bro. I'm waiting on the Sharks to make the top 8. We're all good. Leka 1A. And waiting for the Bulls game. No more nails. Tense. Says Arthur. It's going to be a good one. And I feel like out of all of the games involving South African sides, it is going to be the closest. Or is it? Is Munster even going to turn up? Are they going to be a little bit like Leinster here? And are we going to see a one-sided affair? We will have to, of course, wait and see. At the moment, we have got a bit of a stoppage here. Just about to get back underway, but I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Not only do we have the Bulls versus Munster as the next contest we are covering, but the game straight after that is going to be the matchup taking place between the Stormers and the Ospreys. So be sure, keep an eye on that one as well. Loftus near my backyard. Bulls are normally awesome at Loftus, says Stefan. They have gone with a full strength lineup. Try and get themselves a big win here over Munster. Sounds like we are having another scrum reset now. If the supporters turn up, Munster will have a challenge, says Arthur Harrison. And also 98 goes way before, says Mr. Orlin. The clock, while we're having the resets, I rechecked in the kick. I was an actual movie, just like the Brighton Miracle, says Simi Souza. But yeah, imagine getting a movie made about you. Be a bit insane, wouldn't it? Now, ball is going to be on the side of the Lions, and they have got the penalty advantage as well. Now, Jordan Hendricks trying to break on the short side. He's been slammed down by Reece Ruddock, trying to bring some physicality into the breakdowns. Hendricks is a little bit slower. Get him back up to his feet. Now looking for the cross kick. Nicely taken. And they will go back now for the original penalty. And 279 viewers, 58 likes. Come on, guys. It's free. Do it for South African Rugby. Says Jimbo. Any news on URC Division 2? Not that I know of. I know that there were talks about possibly getting one. But, yeah, I don't know when that's going to be taking place or if it's going to even be taking place. Mish, will Donna be watching her favourite team? She will not know. Seeing as they are playing at 5:15 AM New Zealand time, she may see the very end of the game, Grant, if you're very lucky. But yeah, that one's expected to be one of the more one-sided games that we have of the URC this round. Benetton versus the Dragons, full-time in that contest, 34 points to 17 in favour of Benetton, so they will boost themselves up just that little bit more. We talked about the fact that the Lions would actually be moving up to 7th because of Benetton winning. That would mean that they actually go up to 8th on the live standings rather than 7th. But they are still in the top 8 for now. Depending on what happens in that Ospreys game, depending on what happens for Edinburgh later on, the Lions will be right in the hunt. By the later stages, that penalty goes the way of Leinster. They want to take it quickly. Marius Lowe is slammed down. I think Ross Maloney's getting a bit of a warning here for how he's retaliated from not being able to take it quickly. SARU sucks, no free games on YouTube, says Outlaw. It is a massive shame that they don't show these games for free, or like some form of South African rugby for free. I don't want to meet the actors who's more me than I am, says Gus. And a favourite team is the Blues, New South Wales, says Blues Nate. It looks like the live points for the top teams will be very closely up. Someone's probably going to miss out on the top 8 by either wins or they're going to miss out by like 1 point. Crowd attendance for this game is 7,041. That's not great for the Lions. I swear they normally get a little bit of a bigger crowd, definitely when they're playing Leinster. They even stopped live streaming multi-choice, suck, says Martin there. And why have the Leinster risked losing this game with the B team? Because they've got a Champions Cup semi-final just around the corner that they want to be able to pack a punch with their A side. Here comes Frawley again. Anytime that man has touched the ball, they've had a chance of being able to score Leinster. It's 7 minutes now left on the clock. Now, off to the left-hand side for Jason Jenkins. As the score remains, Lions move up to 6th on the log. Says Arthur Harrison, and that is another penalty going the way of the Lions. Oh, yeah, sorry. So they would actually go to 7th because Benetton have gone up. Now they'd still go 8th. Actually, because of Benetton have just played up against the Dragons and won. So Benetton are now on, I believe they're on 42 points. So Benetton actually go above the Stormers, Ulster, and anyone else who was around that same patch, just based off the live table. If it wasn't for that other game, though, then you're right. They would go up to 6th. Lions finished 8th in Shark Win Challenge Cup. They put playoffs with no Championship Cup. So there's 1-2-3 MS. And Leinster didn't need to win here today. Remember, top 8 go through. So it's a game that could sacrifice. The broadcast actually made a URC and Investec Champions Cup YouTube channels. Only 3-minute highlights packages. Can you believe it? I'm really confused at why they're only allowed short highlights. Like, a lot of other competitions will do like 8 minutes or somewhere around there. Yet the URC, sometimes their highlights consist of not even showing the build-up pass to a try and just a player running in the try because they're trying to cut it down so much. I don't really understand why that is. I guess it's to do with the broadcaster saying you're not allowed to show more footage than 3 minutes, but 3 minutes really doesn't tell you how a game's going. And it's not great for one reason. Leinster weren't brave enough to send their strongest team. Greatest club in the world, give me strength. Says Connor Cahill. I mean, to be fair though, they're in the Champions Cup semi-final, which is more than a lot of these sides in the URC, so they want to try and win that. In fact, they're the only side from the URC who are still in the Champions Cup, if I'm correct. At the top of the league, Connor. Says Ryan and South Africa have hundreds of games on YouTube. Says Outlaw highlights missed some tries in a high-scoring game. Yeah, which is ridiculous. You should be able to see every try that has been scored in a game. Like, to miss certain tries because you have to try and keep it inside a time limit seems really strange. Now 5 minutes remaining on the clock here. Big chance for Leinster to get themselves another one. Europeans, mate. Says Mr. Orlin. Leinster can still walk away from this game theoretically with 2 points if they can score twice in the last 5 minutes. Now, I don't believe they can win this game. Connor, you smoking? Says Jimbo there. Maybe admins have an unerring nose for killing their audience. Says Gus. Yeah, they're quite good at it, to be fair. The amount of copyright strikes we have received for not even showing the game is quite incredible. Basically, Leinster managing their depth pretty well, putting their bench players in the URC with their top squad in the Champions Cup. Says Simi Souza, but the turnover is there for the Lions now. They look for the wide cutout pass, and it finds the hands now of Visaki, puts it on the inside to Edward van der Merwe. One more goes to Emmanuel Tichuka, and he will score another try there for the Lions. Oh, why don't they put English teams in the URC? Because they have the Gallagher Premiership. Always good listening to you, sir. World-class commentary. Says Gerhard. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. And that is another try there, like I mentioned, for the Lions. Closing out this game on a high, although they still have another 4 minutes or so remaining. And this contest, Lions cruising. As they got their bonus point cruisers, can be brought down to earth, though. Says Stefan, although in this case, big wide cutout pass for Saki with the ball on the inside to Edward van der Merwe. Then went away to Emmanuel Tichuka, and that is now his second try, I believe, of this half. Done and dusted go the Lions. Says Azenda there. No. They're saying that Frawley has made a late tackle on Tichuka while he was making a big, dive. So they were saying that it's probably going to be a penalty restart, is it? Surely not. Surely that's just a try. It was Tichuka's fault for coming around and pretty much running it into a position where they could try and tackle him. You do a really good job, thanks. Says Stretch. They're meant to prove why they are. Some example to set sending a weak team to South Africa pathetic. Says Connor, I mean, it depends if they win the competition. There are a lot of sides that do the same thing. South Africa recently, in a couple of their games for their sides, whether it's the Bulls sending a weak side to the Champions Cup, whether it's the Sharks sending a weak side to Glasgow, whether it's earlier on in the season where we have seen weaker South African or Irish or Scottish sides going to opposition hemispheres. Every side has done it. It just seems to be that when it's Leinster doing it, people have a problem with it. It's same with what we saw in the Champions Cup. Bulls got a lot of stick for sending a slightly weaker side into that game against the Northampton Saints, whereas people don't realise the French sides have been doing that, sending away sides or going to away games with weak sides for years, but no one really says about it until it's a side that people feel like they can stir up some controversy about, if that makes sense. Harris, can you show Connor the league table one more time? Says Jimbo. Well, I will, but just for you, Jimbo. At the moment, the way that it sits, Emmanuel Kachuka got himself player of the match. He has had a very good game, definitely after those couple early handling errors that looked like they were going to be costing him a little bit. But Leinster, they will still be top of the log at the end of this round. Let's go in second. And the Bulls, they have got the chance to try and close that gap that little bit more. Munster sitting there on 43. They have still got the game up against the Bulls that is just around the corner. The Lions, they will boost themselves into the top 8. I hope the Sharks do well next season. Well, I mean, they should. Like, they have got a class side overall. I don't see the point of that. I already know the table doesn't change my perspective. So here's Connor. That is a 4 pass from the Lions. Referee is going to be going back for it. But like I said, most of the top sides in that top 8 have done it. In terms of sending a weaker side to a different country for the sake of hoping that your developmental team and your future team can get a job done, but also at the same time, if they lose, then you go, oh well, that's a game that we probably didn't want to sacrifice a few injuries for. You look at someone like the Stormers in their game up against La Rochelle, they sent out their full-strength lineup, they ended it with 5 injuries. Which, I mean, at this stage of the competition, if they had won that game, who knows what side or kind of side they would have been able to field for that next contest. Mono Vandenberg making his way from the field, changes the score to 37-12, says Tim. I mean, it's an automatic scoreboard, so hopefully just keeps on updating itself. In fact, I think it just did, because it is now sitting with 80 minutes rather than the 77. And I, Hamish, you are so fortunate to see all these different players. Says Peter Mason. And okay, well, I guess the Lions have now sealed it, says Stefan. And Bulls got a ton of stick, and if I'm being honest, they should have chanced it, says Ryan. And Lions, wow, says Anoy. Yeah, brilliant performance. 10 seconds remaining now on the clock. And they get one last try on the board here, the Lions. It's going to be fed in. And it's going to be in the hands of Leinster. Little short pop pass, loose ball, picked up by the Lions. And they are going to be 20 metres out from the line now. And they don't look like they've finished attacking. They have got the penalty advantage to match. And thanks so much. Says 1, 2, 3 MS. And the next live stream is actually starting in 3 minutes time, ladies and gentlemen. We are straight back into the action for Bulls versus Munster. Little grubber in behind. And Frankie Horn will score the final try of the match for the Lions. That brings them up to the 40 points on the board. 42 to be exact, with the kick to come. Great wins. Lions did their work in defence and took all their chances, says Jimbo. And there as well. And Lions to win the URC, says Raymond. I mean, if they're in the top 8, anything is possible. I can't wait 3 minutes. Let's go through, bro. Well, it will be about 1.5 at the end. Pretty much summed it all up, Hamish. Depends entirely on what the team is prioritising, albeit the stick they're getting is weird, says Simi Souza. And there Hamish, says Robert there as well. But yeah, that next live stream is starting in only about 1.5 minutes time, ladies and gents, between Munster and the Bulls. Last kick for the Lions, just a nice straightforward one out in front of the sticks. With that conversion, going to make the score at full time 44 points to 12. A great win for this Lions side. And the fans have already run onto the field at this point, even though the game is not completely over as of yet. But I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to pop over to that next live stream that we have got between the Bulls and Munster, as we are going to be starting that one up in around 1 minute's time. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next one.